and welcome to the Comicspiracy, episode 164 for the week of June 23rd, 2014. My name is Ryan Higgins, who is here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Toby.
Hello, Toby. Hello, Brock.
Hello.
Another three-man nerdcast.
Three-man crew.
I want to steal Ryan Scott's saying. So
yeah, it doesn't work on this instance.
Charlie's up in Portland. He left us last week. He'll be back at some point tomorrow. Bryce is in Pismo Beach.
Pismo Beach.
Took him wrong turn in Albuquerque. Who knows where Omar is? Omar's doing Omar. He's playing HeroClix, let's be honest. We all know what Omar is doing. So we got some stuff to talk about this week. We'll get right to it. First is
Toby's first baseball game ever.
I know. We already ruined everyone last week on the Geek Boss talking about the World Cup for like 20 minutes. But if you want to talk, I'm all up for talking about that Red Sox game.
If you
want to talk about that okay, Brock, we won't kill you.
No, I kind of like it. I mean, you just kind of returned the favor. I mean, I took you to an overtime basketball game.
Yeah.
Of course, we have to go to a baseball game that goes into extra innings.
Yeah, and has literally.
And now I understand what that
Toby,
is.
I will commend you. Good job saying extra innings instead of overtime.
Yes.
Well, I still call it overtime. And I also call that first Swiss game when they had the last minute goal a buzzer beater. It's not a buzzer beater.
Yeah. It's all the same. The same. But yeah, Toby took me to the first basketball game I've ever been to, so I took him to the first baseball game he's ever been to, and both were incredible games for the home team.
We did really good for each other.
Or for our teams. So
we did really well for each other.
Yeah. And now, Toby, I'm telling you never to go to another baseball game again.
It was fun, though, because, your Sox were doing so well, and our friend Tony, has he been on the podcast? I don't know. Maybe he said hello once. But a regular at the shop, he was with us, and all of a sudden the A's are coming back towards the end, and he started cheering, Ryan started sweating. I'm like, this is awesome!
I had to work, and so it was starting to get around 4:30 or 5 or whatever, and I'm like, the game should be over, so I went online to look at stats and stuff, and I was like, it's 6, I think it was 6-4 when I looked, and I'm like, well, it's the bot, and then all of a sudden, I went to the live stats, and I was like, wait a second, they got 2 points? What the?
Yeah.
It was 2 home runs and back-to-back almost.
Yeah, 5 home runs, someone stole home plate, a pitcher batting, which doesn't happen in American games.
Catcher got dinged.
Catcher got knocked out. Craziest game I've ever been to, by far and away. Toby, never go to another baseball game. They're really boring compared to this one. So
I did well.
This was incredible. All right. Well, let's talk about another type of bat. This is the bat that we all like.
That segue was...
Let's talk about an old
foul.
bat. Oh, nice. Penguin. So, Penguin wasn't in this movie, but the Joker was. 25 years ago today, Batman... I don't think it's the motion picture. I think it's just Batman, right?
Yeah, Batman,
opened.
Batman or Batman the movie or Batman something.
Yeah, the Tim Burton Batman movie, 1989. Everyone remembers this bad boy.
Batmania.
So we are a slightly younger audience than would have been purchasing the Batman comics. Most of us were probably in 89. We were all
10,
9,
10, right? So we were not, maybe quite at the age, that some of these guys.
Plus, I was in Europe, so we're a couple years behind too.
Sure. But when this came out here, even myself and Brock, I'm sure, and even Toby, I'm sure you were even aware of this movie.
No, except for the crazy amount of Batman stickers around. Batman bubblegum and Batman.
Well, but that's what I mean. You were aware of it.
I wasn't aware of the movie though. It was just all of a sudden there's a lot of Batman stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't know why.
Not really.
Okay.
I was just like, there's Batman. I mean, I started with Superman, and I knew off Batman because of Superman, and also there's a crazy amount of Batman stuff, so cool.
Well, this
was not till later that I found out about the movie.
Yeah, so the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson Batman movie. I mean, if you're a comic fan, you've probably seen this movie. Maybe a few times.
You need to see this movie.
Yeah. I mean, this is, it was Superman the motion picture and Batman. These were the two movies that were the first time comic books were really brought to the big screen. Obviously the Superman movies kind of floundered as they went on, so then they turned to Batman. And, you can go back and say, oh, this isn't good, or oh, I don't like this, but you cannot deny the importance of these movies in Not only,
but at the time it was phenomenal, though.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
At the time it was like, I mean, you go back now, you kind of think it's a little silly, but at the time I was like, dude, holy shit.
I mean, again,
30 years from now, we might look at Nolan's Batman and go, what the hell was this?
Well, when you look at these movies, again, when they came out, there had been nothing like them. Yeah. The effects in Star Wars were beyond anything anyone had done to that point. Superman flying in Superman the Motion Picture, again, incredible. The stories they had, what Tim Burton did in Batman was, it was the number one movie. There was Batman stuff everywhere. The people were going crazy that had never read a comic book ever.
I don't remember necessarily seeing it in the theaters, but I remember the Pepsi commercials with Alfred. Right, He had to get this Pepsi.
I think was that for the first one, or was that later?
The second one.
It may have been the later one. I don't remember what commercials there would have been for the first. I think it could have been. I don't know. But I want to say that was for later ones.
It might have been for Returns. And I just remember now looking back and just seeing what Burton did with kind of combining sort of the Dark Knight kind of feel, the very dark Batman with kind of there was. Joker brought in that campy sort of bright, kind of homage to the Adam West. Not to that style,
Burton
but to the...
basically made a Joker movie. To him, Batman wasn't even interesting.
Well, I think he that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to get as far away from the 60s movie as possible.
Well, no, it wasn't
very dark.
It wasn't that he wanted to make it... It was kind of like when you see what the Joker's doing... with all the blimps and like all the people, all his henchmen and all that stuff, it harkens back to kind of that style, like especially from the comic book era.
I mean, that's more accurate to the comics, especially like the Dick Sprang 50s comic stuff, where you had like the giant typewriters, and just goofy stuff. They played that up in the show a little bit, but they really tried to be.
I think that was meant to say was that it was more the comic books, not the Adam West stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. So. For me, my experience with Batman was very ironic because based off what has come later. Because when this movie came out, I've told this story before, but I have very, very, very distinct memory of my parents saying, "Hey, we're going to go to see the Batman movie," because everyone was, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "No, Batman is stupid. DC is stupid. I only like Marvel." Okay, I said this.
Yeah, 25 years later?
When I was 10 years old.
And the parents were like, what the hell is he talking about?
Because I was reading Marvel comics. I was getting the Marvel... I wasn't really reading too many comics at that point. I was aware of them, but I was getting the Marvel trading cards and watching the cartoons.
Yeah, those were really big then.
That was sort of my big experience with Marvel and comic books at that point. I hadn't really read the comics. It was maybe the next year that I started picking them up. But that was at the point where, again, I knew these existed, but I was into Marvel because of the cartoons, because of the trading cards. So, DC was this is super Friends.
Marvel had
garbage.
also had the Spider-Man show with the Friends show, whatever
Amazing
it was.
Friends?
Spider-Man's Amazing Friends? Yeah.
And Marvel,
I probably saw that.
Didn't Marvel have like a couple other cartoons out?
Well, the one that I would have seen by that point, the big one for me was the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four cartoon.
Yeah.
That was sort of my first big real exposure to comic books. I may have seen the Superman movie by that point. I don't remember, but it was definitely that. It was a mix of the trading cards and those non-sports cards.
Superman was a huge fan in my young life too.
Yeah.
Huge.
See, I don't know that it was for me. I think I may have. I'm sure I saw it when I was younger, but it may have been. It definitely was, I think, more important later. I don't remember, but I remember Batman. But I did. But the turnaround for this is I did go see Batman later, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Because especially that opening scene when Michael Keaton comes down and he beats the hell out of the guys. I'm Batman, right? That line forever is cemented in my mind.
I'm trying to remember when the first time was that I actually saw Batman.
So I saw it in the theater. It may not have been opening weekend, but it would have been right.
There's no way I saw it in the theaters. Yeah. I actually remember seeing the commercials for Returns when I was visiting my uncle in Colorado while I was still living in Europe. that was kind of the first, well, like, there's a sequel, there's two of them, there's not one, but two movies. I mean, that just kind of blew my mind on its own. I didn't realize there were multiple Superman movies at the time.
By Returns, 92, I'm all in, right? I'm all in by that point.
Yeah.
I saw that movie.
Well, the access for me was just different. I mean, it was just different. Yeah, not as accessible for me as it was for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Returns, I think, was for me a little bit more influential. And like, I don't remember again going to the theater because it's been a while. But no, I mean, I distinctly remember. It's Catwoman. I think I saw it with a group of friends and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I don't think I watched either till later. I mean, I remember Returns being big for me just by I was able to get a movie comic. So I didn't necessarily see the movie, but I got a movie comic. I had a T-shirt that someone from the States, like mom's friend, like sent over in a packet.
I think everyone had a Batman shirt.
But it was totally the Burton Batman though. Like that was awesome. And so but I don't think I've seen the movie till later in life. Yeah.
Well, I remember playing the shit out of my VHS copies of both those movies. Like when it was
Ninja Turtles
out.
For me, man.
Yeah.
It was not available in German, so I had to get a bootleg French copy, and I played it till it wouldn't play anymore.
Yeah, Batman, again, if you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it in a while, it's definitely worth a watch. There's goofy stuff to it. Joker being, having killed Bruce Wayne's parents I don't hate that.
It's one of the.
I think it works within the context of the film.
Within the context of Burton's films.
You just made me remember how I actually saw, and I'm saying saw, the first movie. It was actually, I couldn't go watch the movie, so at the place, at the supermarkets, they would sell like radio plays, is I think the proper word for it, where
it's the audio.
They basically do the audio of the lines and stuff. Yeah. So that's how I got to know the first movie. Is not necessarily through the comic. It was like I bought the radio play of it on a cassette tape, and that was basically listening to the story over and over. And that's when they did the whole Napier story of Joker killing. Yeah. So I thought it was legit. I didn't know until later that's not the right actual story.
So Batman absolutely was one of the movies where I recorded the audio onto a cassette tape and would listen to the audio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice,
I did this with a lot of...
I did that too a lot.
Not a lot of movies, but I
did that to Knight Rider.
What I did that to was a lot of comedies. Which actually work really well.
That's actually smarter.
With jokes, right?
That's actually smarter.
I did it with, like, Ghostbusters. I did it with, like, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I did it with, like, a lot of...
I do it with anything because I could visualize all of it. I would just listen and visualize it all.
Movies that I know I had seen a bunch and I knew the jokes, but I was able to sort of piece in the intermediate parts. Batman's a little bit not as good because you have the action, but I know I did it for Batman because the music...
I also got the soundtrack, the score for Batman. I listened to that over and over. Yeah, before I even seen the movie, I want to say.
Everyone. The Batman soundtrack was so big. It's all the guys.
Now, see, it's all coming back to me.
Now you remember.
Yeah. Now it played on TV at one point, and I taped it off the TV, and that's how I watched it the first time. I was a kid. Yeah, and I think Returns must have played not too much later than that. Maybe I saw the commercials for Returns, but I got to see the first one on TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. They had that
in Europe, not here.
They had that great.
It's all in German.
Elfman did the soundtrack, right?
Yeah, yes. Danny Elfman did the regular soundtrack. Yeah. Don't forget the Prince song.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Danny Elfman song for Batman became. That is the sound of Batman. It's they kind of mix it up a little bit for the animated series. But to me, when I think of Batman, like that soundtrack is still the soundtrack that plays in my head. Yeah. It was such a popular song, and I can't.
Well, the movie had such like a ton of one-liners that were just amazing.
Well, I'll tell you that when I watched the movie the first time, I got so giddy just in the beginning when they're playing the theme music and all they're doing is show you the Batman logo, and then at the end they just show the logo. I'm like, I'm done. I'm sold. They haven't shown me one piece of the movie yet. I'm sold.
This also was an early movie where people literally... I can't remember what movie it played against, but there was a trailer for Batman in front of some other movie, and man, I wish I knew this at one point. I wish I should have looked this up before we recorded, but... People were going to the movie just to see the trailer and walking out. I don't think we saw that again till like Star Wars Episode 1, maybe. That may have been the next time we saw something quite on that level.
Was it Episode 1 or was it Attack of the Clowns?
Oh, yeah. Well, it would have been Episode 1.
No, it would have been Episode 1. After Episode 1, nobody cared.
Right.
They were done.
But, this was one of those things where it was such a, we look at Avengers now and the money it makes. Batman was kind of the same thing at the time. I mean, it was as big. It swept the nation. Everyone knew these characters afterwards, and you have this generation that grew up in the Batman show in the 60s, and now it's the late 80s, so they may have been 8 or 10. Now they're 35. So again, perfect synchronizing to their lives. They're now adults. They take their kids. Boom! Now those kids are us, and now here we are again. I mean, it's just this stuff always works out.
Circle of life.
It is.
It's a circle of comic book influence.
Batman, his kids get, his parents get killed. Simba, his parents get killed. Even there you go. There's a circle of life, right? But man, what a good movie.
Actually, the monkey was trying to get reception. So that's why he's holding Simba. Like, now?
What a great movie.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So we got some random news from this week. Got a few things to talk about. Since we're talking about movies, I might as well continue that trend for a second here. There is I didn't listen to the podcast. I don't remember. It was one of these, was it HitFlix? I believe it was. Had put out some info. They're saying about the new Wonder Woman costume for the movie that we're supposed to be hearing about soon. Stuff that they've seen, stuff that they've heard about.
Didn't one of our Wonder Woman lovers, Rafi,
he broke it all down.
Didn't he post something on Facebook about it?
Oh, he broke it all down. Yeah. But again, like a lot of people, to me, what the costumes look like. If they're good, they're good. If they're bad, they're bad. I don't get hung up on this. But Wonder Woman is one of those characters where people really
we will always get hung up on bat nipples.
Oh, yeah. Well, people really do get excited, especially...
As long as they're on Batgirl, that's all good.
Well, especially a character like Wonder Woman that is one of the most important comic characters of all time and has never been on film before. Not. She's
never been
in a movie before.
Yeah, she's been on TV.
There is a lot of assumption of where they're going to go. But it seems like, again, early rumor, a little more traditional, a little more warrior as opposed to like crazy, stripper costume. It sounds like they're going to play us very safe, which is good, and not super risque.
Didn't this one have a cape or something?
I don't think so.
But to me, it's like, I mean, I can understand them trying in pre-production, they're sketching things out, they're getting ideas, they're trying to figure things out. And, people are adding to it or taking aspects from something that they saw. And, somebody might have gotten something where, she's wearing, I don't know, a cape or a robe or whatever, and they're like, this is the new costume. It might not necessarily be a costume for the show. It could be a costume for a scene. If you remember like Captain America's costume in the first Cap movie, where it was like the parody costume at the beginning. It was like a goofy but then he puts on the real costume. Well, no, it's the costume transitions in the movie, which like it evolves in the movie, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
So,
I don't care. I'll just see a trailer first.
Right. We'll see at Comic-Con. Yeah. We'll see the pictures. They'll leak from Entertainment Weekly the day or two before Comic-Con, and then the trailer will go up at Comic-Con, and we'll find out something about it. So, also, movie-wise, every other person linked me to this over the weekend, and then...
Was I first?
You probably were. You may have been.
I
don't know. I did #Orion.
James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I did say, though, it's probably not true right away.
Yeah. Because you linked me to some shady-ass site, and I'm like, I don't know about
Well, that's why I probably was first, though.
A bunch of sites, and I think this started as some complete bullshit site, started a rumor that Nathan Fillion, a longtime Joss Whedon guy, and nerd actor number one that should play any role that a nerd can think an actor should play. It's like, it's going to be a character. Put Nathan Fillion. He'd be the perfect role.
It's going to be the new Michael Knight and the new Knight Rider reboot.
Jeez. Is he?
No.
They had said that Nathan Fillion was rumored to play Nova, a Rich Rider Nova, as a cameo, as a small cameo in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
The first thought I had was like, he's bloody old for that.
Yeah.
No, the first thought I had was, is Ryan really going to go for him as Rich Rider, or is he just going to be happy that Nova's going to be on screen?
The second thought I thought was so ironic because, Ryan had this whole spiel about nerds, stop having Nathan Fillion play everybody, and then here you go, maybe Nova. I thought that would have been the most ironic casting ever.
That would have been awesome.
So that would have been someone at DC's office once again going, Marvel's office once again, well, how do we fuck with Ryan? First we kill Nova, then we kill Speedball. Now we have a new movie version. Who do we cast? Let's get the guy Ryan doesn't want.
No, I like Nathan Fillion. He's a great actor. He's great. It's just like, he's not every character. He can't play every role. And if God forbid they're going to have Nova be in a movie, like
actually he's not only playing Nova, he's also playing Speedball in another movie.
And Justice and Firestar, right?
All of them.
Right. They got him.
All Nathan Fillion.
They got him with his cleavage hanging out in that yellow jumpsuit, right?
Absolutely.
So, I love Nathan Fillion is great. I mean, I don't love him. I like him. He's a great actor. He's super fun. Obviously, people love him. But, so James Gunn did confirm he is going to be in the movie. He does have a cameo in the movie, but he's not Nova. So that's cool.
You had told me that earlier that it would be funny if he was a cameo as.
Yeah, he should just play the character he played in Firefly.
That would be...
What is it?
Why not? This is what I've been saying all along. Why can't I hire Andrew Garfield to be in Avengers? Don't call him Peter. Don't have him dress up Spider-Man. Have him walk by and say, what's up? Right? Why can't Nathan Fillion just be the Firefly guy and be in the movie? Because he would fit into that universe.
Well, exactly. He's a space pirate,
walk by and sell him something, right? And everybody would go, holy shit!
Yeah, everyone would freak the hell out.
It's like with... what was it? Abrams put R2D2 and C-3PO in the wreckage
R2,
in the wreckage of one of the
first.
Well, it's also like how Lucas put DTs in the Star Wars episode 1.
Right? Episode 1. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see who ends up playing. Again, I assume he'll play. It was a Malcolm Reynolds, right? I'm assuming he'll play a dressed up kind of looking like that character, walk by and kind of give him the eye or something like that, and that'll be the scene. And nerds everywhere will freak out for forever. So
that'll be fun though. I mean, which is awesome to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Guardians, have you guys seen the Star Wars done in the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I need to watch that.
It is very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just very. It made me like go. I want to watch Star Wars again.
I saw it was online this morning. I saw that, but I didn't watch it yet.
It is so well done. So well done. Whoever did it, man, hats off to you, man. That's just awesome.
Yeah. Now you've seen the UK trailer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very happy about that, especially the end. Especially as a guy that likes little furry animals.
I didn't see the new trailer. I'm done because it's so close to coming out.
We know you're done. That's why I was only talking to Toby.
The very end. I mean, dude, Rocket Raccoon is already my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe character without even seeing the movie. I'm done. I'm sold. I mean, like little creature that talks smack. Done.
Yeah, I mean, he did not get very much play in those two trailers that you saw. Right, I mean, and it was really, really hard to kind of get a gist of how Bradley Cooper's voice was going to sound.
I almost wish I didn't see it, man. If I would have seen this in the movie, it would have blown my mind. Yeah. I'm like...
But, like, in this trailer for the UK one, he gets a little bit more time. You see a little bit more interaction with him, and, like, Bradley Cooper's voice actually fits. Yeah. Whereas before, it didn't really seem to fit because all it was like, screaming. Or like a one-liner that you couldn't really discern. Dude, but this one...
That very last scene, dude, I mean, I don't want to say what it is, but I'm like, sold. Favorite character, whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, just done. Done.
And this trailer, like, rounded out kind of just for
it's
me...
It's just my kind of humor. You got a little fucking crazy person doing crazy things.
But, I mean, for me watching it, this rounded out kind of the feel for the movie. Like, they've been pumping up a lot of the comedy in the beginning.
I got the feel for it since the first thing they showed. I mean, I'm ready. Just bring it on.
Toby's just Guardian ready.
I'm very ready.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I think I'm the most. I mean, besides like the original Iron Man, probably Avengers. I don't know how excited I was. I think this is the most excited I am.
I'm stoked.
Like, besides Iron Man, I think this is the most excited I've been since Iron Man for a Marvel, like the Marvel Studios movie.
I mean.
And it's weird because this, when we announced it, or when we didn't announce it, when we talked about it first time, I'm like, why the fuck would they do Guardians in the Galaxy?
Well, I'm super stoked, but I'm super bummed because I'm itching to break open my Annihilation omnibus and read through it.
Yeah.
But I want to read Annihilation, and then I want to read those first trade, or I think it's like the first trade or two of Guardians.
I think I don't care. I just want to see the movie. I just want to have it blow me away.
When Iron Man came out, again, I don't think a lot of people were that excited. People didn't really know what to expect.
Well, I was very happy because I was like, casting was superb. Everything was all But
I don't think none of us were at the level we are now, right? Because again, it was an unknown quantity. You just didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
With Cap and Thor, I think I was excited, right? But again, but I don't think I was as excited as.
I think
later.
I was more excited with Cap and Thor than I was with Avengers.
See, for me, Avengers was the number one because to me that was like this actually is going to exist now.
Well, do you guys remember if I was excited before the movie, or is the movie that took me down a little bit? I don't remember. But going with these things, I every movie I've been excited for, but it's more Cap, it's more Thor, it's more Iron Man, it's more of the stuff we've already seen.
Guardians is the first one where it's different. It is fresh.
Well, that's the thing is you were excited. I think we all had a general excitement for Iron Man, but we didn't know what to think of it because it was a B-list Marvel character, right? So when it came out, we were like, holy crap. And then we had Thor and Cap, and we're like, okay, now we're starting to get a little bit more, but our excitement necessarily wasn't there because we needed to see what was going on. And like you said, Avengers, a team movie, opens the floodgates for anything else if it does well, and it did amazing. That's why, like you said, Guardians is taking it to their branching, like, because Green Lantern tried with, kind of the space stuff and failed.
Don't bring it up. We don't have a whole conversation.
But Guardians is taking it in a completely different direction because the Guardians of the Galaxy is a very obscure,
right?
In a sense, Marvel
just
title.
Playing that one perfectly. I mean, whoever thought of doing this knew what they were doing because I'm so sold.
Well, I mean, I think it's the phase stuff, right? It's we want to use Thanos, we want it big. So what can we touch that will connect to Thanos? And I think Guardians is a great choice.
I think it's a little more than that, but yeah, I think as excited as I was for seeing Nolan's Batman. I mean, this is how excited I am for this. I mean, you got basically the mixtures of the sci-fi shit I like. You got the little creatures I like. I love Ninja Turtle style. You got the crazy assassins people, and then you got fucking guns and everything I like in the same movie, and then obscure characters, outcasts, and misfits. Well, I'm sold. Bring it on. Let's not have a podcast anymore until we see this movie.
I think Ryan would agree.
Well, I want to see... I kind of don't want to see any reviews going in. I don't want people to be like, this is the best, and I don't want people to be like, yeah, this really didn't work.
I don't care.
So does that mean...
I'm in shutdown mode, too.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. I'm with you, Ryan, now.
So does that mean if you can get advanced screening tickets... Will you get them so you can see them before all those reviewers throw things up?
Definitely. Let's see what else we got here to talk about.
Are we going to tie in the Diane Nelson stuff with the movies?
No, we already talked about that. No. So we have a few comic things to talk about here. I know a lot of Doctor Who fans on the podcast here and the listeners. Titan, who is the UK publisher for a lot of this stuff. We talked about this before, that they're doing the 10th Doctor and 11th Doctor comics, the Matt Smith and David Tennant ones. They also announced this past week. I don't believe they announced this earlier. This is the first I saw of it. They're actually going to have a third ongoing Doctor Who comic starring Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, which, holy crap, we're getting 3 ongoing Doctor Who comics at the same time. Like, they're not messing around now. Like Titan had kind of gone back and forth with the licensing. Dark Horse had it IDW had it for a while. Marvel had it way back in the days. But now we're like, no, they're not screwing around. We're getting a lot of Doctor Who comics. And I hope,
Why not? I mean, in comic books, these characters live on forever.
Right. And I hope these are good. I'm excited.
Well, I still feel I'd probably pick David Tennant. But that's a lovely, nice thing. You got the David Tennant fans. So you get to keep buying those books.
Right.
Well, right. I think that it's a good thing that they're doing this because, I mean, comic books have had a successful entry point for TV goers with, Buffy, with Smallville, with, the Arrow book, the digital Arrow book that comes out. I mean, I haven't read it recently, but
it's done. It's been canceled for a while.
But from what I read before, it was a good tie-in if you were watching the Arrow series.
Sure.
So I mean, even the Sons of Anarchy.
Well, this is this is nothing new. Comics have done adaptations of properties going back to the 30s.
Well, no, I'm not talking like adaptations. I'm talking like continuing the story. Like Buffy continues the story. Like Smallville continues the story.
But this idea in more recent years.
Well, what's interesting on this is this coming out before Peter's Doctor gets played in the TV.
I think it's at the same time. No, it's due October 1st, so they start in August.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a little bit after.
Because I was going to say that'd be kind of interesting. They announced the Doctor, and the comic book is going to come out before the TV show comes out.
Well, he like in that last episode, I want to say he was in the background of like one shot in the last page of the last issue of the last IDW comic or something like that. Had to have been like a one like a one little shot, but like he didn't have
like in all the TV shots we had so far.
Yeah, same sort of deal. But they've always done all the Disney comics go back to the 30s and 40s. So I mean they've had these continuing adventures, but in more recent years they've had this idea of like season 8, season 9, season 10 of Buffy.
Well, it's funny because I mean, it's funny to me that they don't kind of push this a little bit more or like advertise this a little bit more.
Oh, they're pushing it.
I mean, Smallville doesn't do it because Smallville's not on, but like Arrow didn't really do it with the book, you know. And it's like there's not really any push for this type of thing.
I mean, there's push, but what are they going to do? I mean, advertising during the show would cost more than the comic would make.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... It gets out to the markets it gets out to. Yeah. The people that should see it will see it, and the people
that want to read will come to the stores and ask about it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, overseas, it'll be interesting to see how it works, because obviously the distribution's a little bit different over there, but I'm assuming they knew what they're doing. So, and hey, there's like 20 variants in every cover. So actually, that's not true. There's not 20, but there's a lot of variants for the first couple issues. So it makes sense, because that's at least they got that from the Americans and how to publish variants. A couple threads we've been following here in the last few weeks, things that have been mentioned. There was this rumor of a cancellation and kind of the sidelining of the entire Fantastic Four kind of universe from Marvel Comics.
It is true!
Well, at least part of it's true. They canceled Ultimate FF issue number 6, which is, I mean, very quick for a comic book to be canceled after only 6 issues. I'm not surprised that it got canceled. The Ultimate lines have been floundering for years, and Ultimate FF, easily the most questionable launch from Marvel this year. Maybe. It's like, why? No, who the heck? Like, well, nothing against Joshua Falkov, the writer, is a great writer. Nothing against the quality of the comic. I have no idea if it's good or bad. I never read it. It's just, this is a book that was destined to fail from day one, and I don't know why they bothered.
Well, and they canceled Ultimate FF, and I mean, the complete costume change of the current Fantastic Four family.
Yeah, I mean,
it's understandable, but again,
well, they never even talked. Did they even explain why they were
not red? Really? They just appeared in newer costumes. That
the regular FF book's good. I like it,
which is funny because it's red.
Yeah. I actually like the regular FF book. James Robinson's doing some good stuff there. You know, so this could be completely unrelated, but you know, the book was not going to sell well anyway. So, but if you're a fan of the Ultimate books or FF, well. It's one less. We got the one FF book now. We'll see where they go with it.
This brings Marvel's titles down to 104.
Jeez, yeah. They've also had, we talked a few times about this, Bleeding Cool has dubbed it the DC Comics Band-Aid, which I hate this. Please, DC, tell us what this thing is so we can stop calling it this, which is going to be a 2-month period in 2015 where all the DC books are replaced for 2 months while DC moves their offices.
I have a name for it.
What's that?
Age Apocalypse.
Well, you may not be wrong. You actually may be exactly what it is.
Let's make it a year-long thing. It could be.
How about Age of Apocalypse? The dark side,
there
right?
There we go. Yeah.
So, Toby, you got it. Until I hear different is now the Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah,
that's with a PS at the end there. So. Early talk was this was going to be like a big...
Wait. We got to tell people who our 4 horsemen are.
Yeah. Early talk was this was going to be a big fight book, you know, for 2 months. That's still kind of continuing. Initially, it was going to be New 52 versus Old 52. Now they're saying, no, it's Elseworlds. It's not the New 52 at all.
Now it's Elseworld?
Yeah. That's why I said you're not wrong with Age of Apocalypse. It literally is.
Prior to say it wasn't Elseworld.
Right. So, again, this is all early rumor stuff.
Wait, no. Don't tell me Pre-52 is Elseworld now.
No. Those characters will... No, the New 52 will not appear. So the Pre-52 is...
Elseworld. That's what... No, they're the real world.
Well, it's
New 52 is Elseworld.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Elseworld titles. I mean, I've always enjoyed.
I kind of want them to come back, but I just don't want the Pre-52 to be.
We will see heroes
not real anymore.
We will see heroes from different realities pitted against each other. War of the Elseworlds. Else Wars. I like that.
As long as
I see what's happening. You probably gotta get the Russian Superman versus.
Hey, no.
Versus I don't know. So Vampire Batman.
So this is the quote from Bleeding Cool. Every Superman will have trunks. No one will have collars, and they'll all be married.
Yay.
All I can say is hopefully this isn't as bad as Countdown Arena.
Hopefully he's not married to Batman.
Yeah. Countdown Arena kind of was that.
That was bad.
Yeah. Again, the idea was okay, but it just didn't. it just didn't work the way we wanted it to.
I think they kill a lot of my favorite characters in that book.
In Countdown Arena?
Yeah.
Well, they killed off just random Elseworlds characters, but they don't count, right? They're not real characters.
I'm thinking of, Avengers Arena.
Oh, yeah.
They killed some of my favorite C-listers. I'm like, what the hell is this book?
Well, they brought a lot of those guys back, too.
Oh, so. It's not real?
No, I think they may have killed one or two of them permanently, but I think the majority of them they brought back. So, yeah. God, that's also I could talk. That's all our new stuff.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool. But there's some current comics you want to talk about, though.
There is. So, people can poke fun at us for not always talking about current books, but it's like
you've been reading finally.
Well, I always read, but that's where you talk. That's why you watch or listen to the Infinite Long Box podcast, because they'll talk about all the current books from this week.
We're trying to be in sync with the other.
Well, we'll talk about some of the big events when they go through, but a podcast every single week of explaining the plot of Spider-Man issue to issue to issue I would go crazy. I love reading comic books.
Isn't there already one of those podcasts out there?
Oh, I'm sure there is. But, for the most part, it's like the amount of stuff happening in comics week to week. It's, it's kind of minimal. There's big stories, and I love, we definitely love covering those news events. So when a book comes out, we'll talk about books and we'll do a random picks and stuff like that all the time. But, when a book kind of comes out like this for me that really kind of surprises me, I definitely want to say something about it, especially one that I kind of feel is getting maybe lost in the shuffle a little bit, and it's a Marvel comic of all things, and it's Original Sin. It's this crossover they've got going on right now. Holy crap! This book is fantastic. Yeah. So for people that aren't aware of what this is, and we've mentioned it before, it's Jason Aaron's writing an event book for Marvel right now, and it's The Watcher. So we're going to go into light spoilers here. I won't go into full spoilers, but
you won't go into issue 3 spoilers.
3 or 4. If you don't want to know what's going on, at all, stop. But if you're okay with like issue 1, issue 2 spoilers, that's fine. The basic premise of this is the Watcher, who is this all-seeing being that stands above Earth and watches everything. He's been killed. And the Avengers and Nick Fury and these guys are trying to figure out, hey, what the hell happened?
Who killed the Watcher?
Right, who killed him? So there's this character called the Orb that's a DC Z-list villain.
Who's he a villain of?
Technically Ghost Rider. He first appeared in, I believe it's Marvel 2-in-1, a Ghost Rider Thing issue. I want to say, I don't think it was Team Up. I'm pretty sure it's 2-in-1. So he's a Z-list character, but Jason Aaron's used him a few times in the past.
Because Jason Aaron's done some Ghost Rider work.
He used him in his Ghost Rider run, right? So this is a character with a big eyeball for a head, right? So they kind of early on set up that he's the killer. It's revealed more recently that he's not, that there's other people behind it.
What are the big things they use? Those, the men...
What's that?
The men, the Null guys, the guys that are going, the big, bulky...
The unseen or the unknowing, I forget what they're called. Yeah. It's like the mandroids. Yeah. So basically, this real ragtag group of nobody characters, and including new characters you don't know, are involved somehow in the murder of the Watcher. And the reason they're doing this is because they stole the Watcher's eye, or at least one of them. And the Watcher's eye has seen everything.
Yeah.
And they use it as this sort of bomb to unleash this sort of information to people.
It reveals secrets.
Right. So the Watcher, the bomb goes off and Thor's like, I have a sister. So obviously they're setting up events that will play out in other books.
That's nice.
Yeah. So these characters were suddenly all distracted because they were close to the proximity of this bomb, and they're like, "Wait, I don't know what's going on. I know stuff that I never knew." And so this is going to play out in some of the solo titles. So if you're a fan of the characters, there's sort of interesting new things going on.
Well, the team ups are awesome.
But so part of it is Jason Aaron has done a fantastic job of putting like Doctor Strange and Punisher in like this weird magic universe. And so there's this assassin who's been killing these like major characters in the Marvel universe. Killed the Watcher, killed a whole bunch of guys like in one of the Silver Surfer universes, and like shooting them with bullets, but like bullets the size of like someone's body, right?
Yeah, it's like they use these as training for what they were going to do to the Watcher.
Who was it? It was Moon Knight, Gamora, and I can't remember who the third person was.
Gamora and
that's actually a good team up.
Yeah, it's bizarre team up.
No, but character-wise, though, it makes sense.
Yeah, I can't remember who the third person was.
Who was on that team?
But they end up going to find, like, they're finding these, like, shell casings floating in space.
Oh, it's Winter Soldier.
Oh, and Winter Soldier. Right, of course.
That's a good team.
It's a bizarre team up, right? And they're basically like, go find out what these shell casings are, what happened. Like, so they end up finding all these, like, bullet holes, all like these giant bullet holes in this planet. And they're like, well, this person didn't miss. These are all very accurately shot. What are they aiming at? It turns out it's like Ego. It's one of the living worlds. This person shot a world to death, right? Yeah. So it's this crazy, it's this only in comic books crazy sort of murder mystery that's going on in the Marvel universe right now.
He has Wolverine and Hulk team up as interrogators.
Yeah.
It's like
bad cop, worst cop.
Shit.
Yeah.
And then the other team up that they have that's really, really interesting.
I don't want to see that interrogation.
You tell me now. You tell me. Yeah, the Winter Soldier
is like Black Panther, Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's some wacky team
Emma
up.
Frost, right?
Yeah. Emma Frost in like some total black weird
getup. She's wearing like a black,
Yeah, so again, very wacky team ups you just don't normally see. Very interesting character combos. And then especially the end of 3 and then now the end of issue 4 because we're halfway through the series. Some crazy like whoa, what the fuck sort of moments. I've definitely not been a fan of a lot of the big Marvel events. There have been cool moments. I think the setup for something like Secret Invasion is incredible. I think the setup for Civil War has been great. But a lot of these events, man, they fall flat.
Well, this is the thing is with Secret Invasion and with Fear Itself and with Infinity, it was always like, read this next title to kind of see what happens.
Infinity was the worst.
Yeah, Infinity was the worst. Whereas this, it's like, it's not telling you to go read it because you get the story that you need to get in Original Sin.
Right.
But like you said, if you enjoy these characters, then you can branch out and go to the specific book that's you're going to want to read. But it's not forcing it down your throat like Infinity and kind of Fear Itself.
Here's where I think this succeeds where Infinity failed, because that's the most recent event, or something like Age of Ultron. I think they are the three kind of extremes. I think Infinity was a very complicated event with a ton of important crossovers that you had to read. The threats were universe-wide, but it ended with a whimper, and nothing mattered, right?
It ended with a gas cloud moving across Earth.
Right. It ended, who cares?
Did anything happen at it in Humans?
No. Inhuman is only issue number 2.
It's a Terrigen fart, is basically what happened.
What about that new Captain Marvel?
Nothing.
This is already done?
No, it's
still going?
It sells to people that don't read comics. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to get a ton of hate mail for that, but hey, I know who buys
I was just
books.
Curious if it was. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it in a while.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, no one. I mean, it sells all right. So, Age of Ultron is kind of in the middle here, where I think it didn't affect anything. It was mostly a cool story. It crapped out at the end, but I definitely enjoyed it. I just wish something had mattered, right?
Well, it's like you said. Like there was like 3 different big stories going on, and it was on this big giant scale. And it didn't deliver, like the payout, like you said, it's not. But again, we talked about this on the podcast. It's confusing to figure out what the hell's going on in that.
Right.
In that
well, the ride was good, but the ending didn't deliver. Original Sin, so far, the threat doesn't actually feel like it's that big. Like the Watcher getting killed is like, okay, I understand where they're trying to set it up. So it's kind of like the flip of Infinity, where the crossovers don't matter. You only need to read the main title, which is great. The threat, while feeling large, kind of while it doesn't feel large, it actually is. Where the threat of Infinity felt large but wasn't. And I don't think this is going to end with a whimper. I don't think anything major may come of this event, but the ride is so good. And taking a character like the Orb and turning him into a major level threat, I love. It flashes back to the Calculator. It flashes back to these great characters these guys in the past have been able to take and be like, we're going to throw some really crazy twists on this character, do something really neat with it. And so this, has the setup for that sort of.
And what's funny about Original Sin is it started out, especially for me, with that Zero issue.
And the Zero,
what the
Zero was complete. If you're interested in the series, don't pick up issue 0. It has nothing to do with anything. You get a little background to the Watcher, but not. They explain everything in the first issue. You don't need to read it.
I would like to do something with the Watcher again. I mean, it's been so long.
He pops up, but they have done so.
Yeah,
little
but nothing
with him.
major like this, though. It's kinda neat.
No, it is a really, really fun book. Mike Diodado's art is fantastic. It is, as far as these big event books go, this is, I mean, I loved Forever Evil. I love all this stuff, and every issue had a great cliffhanger.
Well, this, I mean, at least to me, it's nice to kind of see these interesting team ups, especially with we talked about Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah,
and Infinity Gauntlet had those kind of quirky, team ups of characters and stuff like that, and that's part of what made it appealing. And this is doing the same thing, where it's giving us a couple random characters that are slapped together, but it works.
Yeah. So
read it.
Yeah, if you like it, I definitely would recommend this. So pick it up if you haven't. I'm sure we'll talk about more stuff. We got some questions here. We'll get to a few of these.
Bring them on.
First one's from Mitchell.
What's up, Mitch? That picture of you on Facebook, that's your drunk look.
He's asking a question. I have no idea what he's talking about or what this is, and now I'm looking at it and wondering why I don't know what this is.
What? Mitchell's bringing you something you don't know about?
He says, is the Snowpiercer comic any good, and do you have any excitement for the movie? I have no idea what the comic or the movie is. I've never heard of this.
Neither have I.
So, having just looked it up, IMDb tells me, I'm assuming this is the one. It came out last year in South Korea, and maybe I guess it's coming out here. In a future where a failed global warming experiment kills off all life on the planet except for a lucky few that boarded the Snowpiercer, a train that travels around the globe where a class system evolves. I'm assuming this is based on a comic book the way he's talking about, and probably a Korean. Are they the manhwa? There isn't that what they're called? So I am completely unaware of this. I have no idea. I've never heard of it. It's got Chris Evans in it. It's got, let's see.
Of course, Chris Evans is not a comic book movie.
Ed Harris, John Hurt, Tilda Swinton.
Ooh, John Hurt.
Yeah. It's got a...
cast sounds promising.
Got a handful of Korean people in it. That
does Wiki tell you what the original comic was?
No, but I can look it up. I mean, it's probably a Korean comic, so...
I mean, it sounds interesting.
Yeah. Again, I've not heard of this. I don't know when it's coming out here. Let's see. This is the 2013 South Korean American science fiction action film based on the French graphic novel.
Wow.
Transpierre by people. I'm just not. This is all over the place. I have no idea what this is. I've never heard of it. Apparently, it's coming out here, so maybe I'll see it. Cool.
Maybe we'll get an English version.
Yeah. Well, I think it is in English. It has all those people in it. So
No, the comic.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea, Mitch. First I've heard of it. Thank you. I'll look into it. I have no idea.
And if anyone listening knows about this or has any more information, please feel free to send it along.
This one's from Stefano. Says, coincided with the recent DC Band-Aid rumors. What is your favorite Elseworlds story, and what would be the one you'd want to see? Like, what kind of team up would you want to see?
I like Thrill Seeker.
I was going to say you either like that or you like the Supergirl, Batgirl, World's Finest.
I don't really know that one that well, actually.
Oh, really?
No,
I still think you'd be like totally into.
No, I don't know that one. Wait, which one is the Supergirl, Batgirl, Elseworld?
It's just called.
There's 2 issue.
There's like a 2-issue mini,
Supergirl mini,
like prestige format.
Yeah,
where they're like all kind of like not steampunk, but like sort of futuristic.
No, it was more futuristic than it was steampunk.
Yeah,
I don't know that one.
Oh, okay,
yeah, but I really like Thrill Seeker.
Yeah.
I like the art and. I like the style.
Dan Barenton.
Yeah, did the art on that. He does a lot of horror books, really.
Yeah. You know, I always liked the idea of a lot of the Elseworlds more than a lot of times I end up liking the Elseworlds. Gotham by Gaslight still is one of the best, even steampunk. But I still really, really like Gotham by Gaslight. That is, that's one of the.
I haven't actually read it.
It's also one of the earliest, and it is a really good book. God,
I really like Morrison's New 52 Elseworlds with the Black Superman.
Yeah. That was. I mean,
like Earth 23.
Yeah, sure. That's as close to an Elseworlds as we're gonna get now. Trying to think what else. Well, have been good ones. Again,
Red Sun.
Red Sun was good. Yeah, Red Sun was good. Not my favorite, but I did like it. Trying to think what else.
There was a Speeding Bullets.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many of them. So for people that don't know what an Elseworld is, by the way, in case people out there don't know what it is,
showing our age.
It's kind of DC's take on a what if, and if you don't know what what if is, they basically kind of set a situation up and write a comic book around it. So what if Batman? What if Superman landed in Gotham instead of Metropolis? What if Superman landed in Russia instead of Metropolis, instead of Smallville? Sorry. Yeah. So the plot of Red Sun. What if Superman lands on Oa instead of Smallville?
Didn't they do a Green Lantern one that was based in like the earliest 20th century?
Yeah. So there's been a lot of these sort of what if situations, and I know you can get a decent exposure to him in the search for Ray Palmer in the Countdown stuff. I know that's where I saw a lot of the Elseworlds. Yeah, because they basically traveled from alternate universe to alternate universe. So yeah, there's some cool ones out there. I don't know that it's.
I'm sure there's other ones I can't even remember that I really liked.
Yeah,
I have to go.
Gotham by Gaslight tends to be one of those big ones. Yeah, Thrill Seeker was a big one.
Justice League's had a ton of them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my favorite Superman Elseworld story.
What's that?
It's Marvel's Supreme Power by Straczynski.
Sure.
That was fantastic. It's not even done by DC. That was a fantastic take on it.
Or Supreme, right?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Basically, Superman coming to Earth, but what if the government gets a hold of him ahead of time?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, that's a cool take.
That's Project S.
Yeah, and that's the Flashpoint stuff, too. Kind of similar deal. Yeah. As far as fighting, I mean, they're cool. We saw a lot of that in Ray Palmer and the DC
Countdown
game. Yeah, what the hell's
Countdown to the Arena.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that in itself was nice to kind of... It was a good premise, but it was done horribly. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm curious to see what goes on with the Elseworlds months. Yeah.
It's from Lucas, who says, who would be your ultimate creative team and what would they write?
Oh, Jesus. Go, Ryan.
It's always a loaded question.
I mean, Jeff Johns, Jim Lee, Justice League, done. I mean,
been done.
We had it.
Yeah. It wasn't that great.
It was good, not great, but I liked it. I mean, I liked it a lot, but how about this? Jim Lee, Jeff Johns on the Justice League of America. The classic pre-New 52. That is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Right? I mean, Neil Gaiman and Jim Lee on New Warriors.
I guess for me,
actually be hella down for that.
I mean, I guess for me, Scott Snyder and was it John Layman's art for on Batman and the Outsiders.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna go really weird. I'm gonna go with Dixon on Gambit.
I could see that.
Yeah, I like to see him take a take.
Sure, who's your artist?
Huh?
Who's your artist?
Well, Jim is such an easy answer. I would go with Medina.
Carlos Medina?
Paco Medina?
Or Paco Medina, sorry.
Yeah. I'll go with him.
Huh, okay.
Go a little
see that?
Obscure.
A little different, yeah. You don't want your guy that does like a slam dunk or something, right?
Oh my god, that would be
slam dunk version of Gambit. Written by Dixon.
That guy can draw. That dude can draw like there's no tomorrow. I mean, if you look at his, what's the book that Lane picks up? The samurai book, Vagabond.
Oh yeah,
that's all him.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He's a fantastic artist.
Yeah. Cross-Sex Hunter here on Twitter wants to know what would be suggestions. Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin EP3, which is one of our listeners, forum member, been on the All Talk podcast, wants some suggestions on what X-Men he should try to read.
Why are you even asking this question when Bryce is on?
And he says try to contain it if Bryce rambles on. So Bryce, I know you're back there, just waiting to scream at the podcast.
I'm just gonna see like 20 tweets going out to this guy.
It's like
and.
I mean, for me, I guess I would have to recommend. Was it Brubaker? Brubaker's run with the space stuff, right?
What?
Rise and Fall of
Shi'ar was really good. I know the Grant Morrison
stuff you read has been like the last 10, 15 years, isn't it?
For me,
yeah.
I mean, I haven't gotten a lot of the older stuff yet. It's because it was when I got back in, it wasn't available in trade or it was out of print. Now stuff's slowly starting to come back, or I've been able to like pick up a used copy of things and read older stuff. But No, I mean, your Grant Morrison's new X-Men is definitely one. Age of Apocalypse is definitely on there for good read. I mean, we've talked about,
Phoenix Saga.
Dark
Phoenix Saga.
Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past, I would say, are pretty much. Comics everyone should read.
Yeah,
you like the X-Men or not? To me, that is one of the defining points in especially superhero comic storytelling where you had creators involved at a level beyond just let's write a story for one issue and be done with it and move on to a new story. I mean, that is in the mid-'70s, and that is when we are seeing this shift at Marvel, especially at Marvel and soon at DC. And those are the most popular books at the time. They are the defining stories of that generation of X-Men. They are some of the most important comics ever written, and a bunch of movies are based off them too, so there's a lot of easy access to that. I think it's trickier, though. I think when you get in the 80s and 90s, those essential X-Men runs are difficult to pin down.
Anything that Jim Lee did?
Well, because they're so long, right? I mean, the Jim Lee stuff, you're there for the art. The story is just the later half of Claremont's run, right?
Agenda.
And it's in between crossovers.
I want to say that reboot when they started at number 1 again was actually, I liked all that stuff, like the first 4 issues, and then when Kubert took over, I still liked it, and then eventually it just kind of went away.
But that's when he left. That's when Claremont left and Fabian Nicieza took over.
Yeah.
It's really that
he did a lot of Gambit books.
Mm-hmm. He did all of them. Yeah. At the beginning.
Yeah.
It's that first arc I think is worth it. Again, it's when you get to the more creator-driven books of the X-Men in the 2000s, in the late 90s. You have the Grant Morrison X-Men books. You have the Joss Whedon run of Astonishing X-Men. Those are books that I think you can kind of hand to anyone because they're as self-contained as you're ever going to get for an X-Men title.
Yeah.
I'll give you a funny one. I like Academy X.
Okay.
I really like that book.
Which one's is that the miniseries?
No, that was a full-fledged series, dude. It went from Academy X to New X-Men
okay.
To
right.
that's like where they introduced like Dusk.
That's like 05, 06.
Yeah. That's where they introduced a lot of the new teen characters that kind of filter into Aaron's run.
The New Mutants.
Yeah. It's like the new version of the New Mutants.
Right.
I mean, I was Danny Moonstar was kind of the leader. I loved all those books. I thought they were really great.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel's been doing a decent job of collecting kind of chunks of like Jim Lee stuff and like X-King Agenda and Executioner Song and like all that stuff. So they've been making them more available now for at least those ones. But like you said, the creator ones are the.
While I am not necessarily a fan, not because I don't like the books, but it's just because it's such a long running series. I've read so little of it. The Peter David X Factor stuff, which is now closing in on,
to like 300.
But I mean that's from the relaunch numbers and all that. But he's written for so long, 100 plus issues, I think, at this point. It starts with the Madrox miniseries, and then it picks up from there into just, X Factor. Now it's all new X Factor. But, I mean, again, one creator, one vision, one kind of straight shot of a series. I know we have a lot of fans of that series. So. And plus, Wolverine's got plenty of little one-shot stories. There's other X books out there that are worth it. There's a lot of good books. Bryce is screaming. Bryce, email me. We'll put your recommendations on the next podcast.
He's going to kill us all in our sleeps.
He's going to have his top 10 and then his sub.
You guys are all idiots. You forgot this and this and this.
Also got another one here from our friends over at the All Talk podcast. Darfox8. He writes in and says, "Has there ever been a white comic a white comic as they like to call it equivalent?
What does that even mean?
White people comics, white comic."
Like a white cover?
Equivalent of the Jump manga style. As all DC comics will come in one big magazine. So basically the way
they try a couple times? Maybe not that big, but I think they did try magazine style where like 3 issues are inside.
Right. So what he's saying here is in Japan and parts of and a lot of Asia, the way they do comic books are done in what the Tankuban is the Japanese one. And so they're done in these big books, these 1,000-page monthly anthologies that come out that are full of dozens and dozens and dozens of comics.
Monthly, but also weekly.
Well, right. Well, sure. There's all sorts. Right. Jump is weekly.
Well, basically, imagine this. I mean, basically, you come to the store every Wednesday, you pick out your books. what if every Wednesday you come in and you buy a Marvel book and it's got 20 issues of Marvel inside? Next week you come in and you buy a DC book that has 20 issues inside. And next week you come in and you buy a Dark Horse book that has 30 issues.
The reason they don't do this is it would be the size of an omnibus.
They are. They're huge. I've got one.
They're like phone book size.
I bought one literally to have at the store to show people when people ask about it. I've got a Gundam one back here. I'll pull it out in a second, Brock. So
they're like made out of really cheap paper, though. I mean,
it's all black and white.
I mean, you had those jumps that came in a little while ago that I saw, which I think it's good to have kind of. Because there's just some people. Take. I mean, some people just like having a whole. I mean, that's how you got a lot of comic books.
Well, no, I got them in trades. I mean, the thing is like.
Oh yeah, I've seen these things.
So this is their single issues.
Yeah, no, I know.
This is their single issues, and then they trade it in those little books, but. From the individual, so this is like 30 stories, or maybe not 30, but like 20.
Yeah.
These are like 20,
and it was like $9.
Yeah.
So again, so Dar. Basically, what happens is Americans hate anthologies in every form, whether it's books or comics or TV shows or movies.
I think as close as we came was like a magazine with like 3 issues.
Right. Americans hate Marvel anthologies.
No, I think it was a DC thing.
Well, they've all done. So Marvel Comics Presents is close.
Wasn't Mark Millar's kind of the same thing? It's not Clint, it's Clint.
Clint was just a magazine, right?
But isn't it like a bunch of like Mark Millar issues inside?
That's the British. So comics in England, a lot of them, again, they have traditional comics, but a lot of them are set up like 2000 AD, where there is a magazine size, not this size, but a magazine, like 80, 100 pages or so of an anthology, right? So that a lot of comics are like that, and Clinton was a version on that. But no, for something like this. They don't. The prices would be insane. They wouldn't sell nearly as much because, for whatever reason, Americans hate anthologies. Just, I don't know why. Dark Horse Presents fails every time they launch it. Vertigo did a bunch of anthologies. They all fail. People don't like them. I don't know why.
Well, as a kid, I always liked it when, say, my dad brought one back from Japan because there's so much to explore. It's like entire world to... there's so many stories inside. It's an entire world to explore.
I wonder if DC published a monthly $20 Batman tankobon,
like Batman Family.
That's like, here is 40 issues of Batman from 30 different series, 30 issues from 30 series stuffed to a book together. It's 400 pages or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, you get Batman,
everything.
You get Batgirl, Batwoman. You would get every single Bat Family title in this $20 vault. To me, I would love to get these for my kids because it's like,
and it's cheap paper and everything.
It's cheap paper. It's reading fodder.
But people won't do it because the quality of the paper, it's black and white. People wouldn't do it. One of the companies that tried this was CrossGen, if you remember them. Mm-hmm. They actually had they had 2 monthly trade paperbacks that were like split between their lines. So one book would have
half the line,
6 issues, and one book would have the other 6 issues. Failed miserably, just completely failed. No one bought it. I thought it was a great idea, but people don't like them.
Well, I mean, it's again. I think it's
well, and you also have to remember these are throwaways. People throw these away. They don't keep these. These anthologies, people read them and throw. I mean, I'm sure obviously some people keep them, but they don't keep them and collect them like comic books. I mean, people forget so much of comic books is collecting.
Well, yeah, there's a large chunk of it. That's
I remember just people pass them around at the subways in Japan and stuff like. I mean, they're done. It's like newspaper. It's like I'm done. Here you go.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I was like, hey, there's a kid. Do you want it? Here you go. I'm done.
You figure you pay $8-10, maybe $15 a week. You read your 5 or 6 stories. No one's reading that cover to cover, right? People are just
there's like 1%.
Sure, but most people read the 5 or 6 books they like, and that's what they do, and they throw it away afterwards. And if you want them,
it's a cheaper way to go.
If you want them, you buy the trade paperback after that. You buy the.
And that's the way I've been.
The standard, right? Which if you read manga, that's the only way they're released here. But in Japan, they're released in these formats too. I mean, this comes with like a pull-out magazine, a full-color poster. They'll come with toys. They'll come with all sorts of garbage.
Well, I like the whenever my dad. It's actually I was way too old for it, but he brought me back the Sentai at once.
Yeah.
So it's basically the Five-Mon and the Life-Mon and the robot dudes, and it's color pictures of the TV shows, and they would have a full-out poster. It would have like some goggles inside, and it was just awesome. It was like, and then at the end they would have like a third of the end is like comic books based on those, basically the Power Ranger stuff and stuff like that. It was a really cool book, and as a guy that couldn't understand a word they were writing, I was like, more pictures than... I was like, oh, yeah, I mean...
Now, also remember, these sell... obviously sales are down these days, but hundreds of thousands to millions a week. Mm-hmm. Not total.
No.
Some of the individual... volume, so Jump being the big one.
We keep going back to the newspaper thing. I mean, that's how they were selling it. They were loading these ads up at the kiosk like newspapers. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what a traditional issue of Jump sells these days, but that is where Naruto and Bleach and One Piece, I mean, the biggest of the biggest manga are all
Jump
the same
did pretty
volume.
good in the U.S., I want to say, for a while.
It did okay.
It survived for a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, look at New Type just kind of died.
Well, but New Type didn't have comics. Look at Raijin's the...
Oh, that failed miserably.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Great titles, but it...
Oh, well, I think I was the only one reading them. I'm happy about it. I mean, they had Slam Dunk going 5... We'll try 5 trades, and there's City Hunters in there. They all just went away.
I mean, I think it's a great way to get... I mean, especially for readers, I mean, it's a great way for you to get a lot of content for a good price.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily that it needs to be in black and white. I mean, you can do, cheap color prints of these books and stuff like that.
Cost money.
No, people don't like it, so... All right.
Damn Americans and their hate of
anthologies. Are we going to talk
anthologies.
Daredevil at all with its casting choices lately?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about it, but if you got something to say, we're done otherwise.
I'm in. I like it.
Yeah, I forget.
But I want to say I read somewhere that they didn't have the rights for Elektra. They're saying that Rosario could be Elektra. I'm like, I don't think they have the rights for it, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Karen Page.
We think?
Probably.
If it's not Elektra, it's Karen Page. This is the only other character.
A lot of people are saying she might be Typhoid Mary.
I could see that.
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be sick.
I could see that too.
Yeah.
To make her the villain.
And the guy that picked for Fisk is kind of cool too.
Yeah,
so.
I forget who it is.
The only one that was kind of iffy on when I looked up his picture was the guy that picked for Matt Murdock. Like,
he's fine.
Okay.
He's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can start hauling ass, man. If that's out in December, they need to start filming now. They don't have that much time. They got like 5 months.
Aren't they releasing it all at once?
Yes.
Yeah, right. 5 months to film, edit 13 episodes, write probably as well. Ooh, that's...
Maybe it's already written.
I mean, it's probably already written.
December, I mean, yeah. It's kind of get close.
It's probably already written by that guy that bought the trades from us.
Maybe.
Doubt it. No, I think it's doable. I mean, if they're filming starting next month.
But if they want
July,
the level of quality, to feel like a Marvel movie,
things can go pretty fast.
Yeah, TV shows. I mean, TV shows depending on where they're shooting and how they're shooting. I mean,
Arrow,
you can shoot quick.
Yeah, I mean they filmed an episode of Arrow in 7 days. I mean, Arrow had a crazy schedule. If they're filming Daredevil in the same schedule, yeah, they can do it. It's going to be tight, but they'll do it. But it's like I'd rather they pushed it back to January or February.
I'm guessing July, August, September. I think July, August is shooting.
Yeah.
September, October is cutting. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be tight. Actually,
it'll be released on the 31st of December.
Now that I'm laying it out, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe they should haul out.
Happy Daredevil year.
Yeah. I'd rather quality come out in March.
Absolutely.
So they could take an extra 3-4 months, guys.
Absolutely.
Don't rush it.
Well, watching House of Cards and watching a little bit of Orange is the New Black.
There's no need to rush it.
But there's no need to rush it.
There's no weekly schedule.
But it's one of those things where they kind of all take all those shows take place in very centralized locations for the most part.
They're not set in stone, though. I mean, who knows? Come December, they were like, "Oh, we never promised that." Well, maybe they did, but
they said December. But yeah, who cares? Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this podcast up.
All right, lady.
Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You can listen to this episode and all our previous episodes at geekbox.net and comicsconspiracy.biz when I remember to update comicsconspiracy.biz.
And
you can also
YouTube channel.
Join our YouTube channel, which I caught up on the last few episodes and posted episode 2. So if you like a retro conspiracy...
Do we still have the -1 episode?
No, I don't.
You deleted it?
I must have. I don't have it.
I'll check to see it because I might have it in my files.
It doesn't sound good. I mean, just did not record right, so it doesn't sound good. Don't forget you can discuss this episode on forums at geekbox.net and at the Geekbox Facebook group. So we had a lot of people join in recently, so go on there and talk with everyone. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. If you're a digital comic fan, go there and buy some comics. Remember, if you subscribe to a comic on that site, you get your comic delivered to you every single issue. You never have to go back on that site if you don't want. You never, but we still get our cut. You get your comic. It's billed automatically. So use that subscription button if you don't. Of course, we do mail order here and everything like that, too. So, we have a ton of subscribers through the podcast. So if you get comics on a monthly basis and you want to support the podcast,
I package them up, Stefano.
Yep.
Stefano can...
he can attest every month.
My work.
Every month he tweets Brock a picture of me and Brock a picture of how awesome his stuff arrives. So,
and I've packaged some weird books and toys and everything's come fine. So
if you get books, considering getting it through us. We have a bunch of other stuff we do. Brock Scott at conspiratobrock.com, where he's got his pull list and his weekly video pull list post. Omar's got comicsintokind.com and... that's his blog. And Charlie's got the Infinite Longbox podcast.
Bryce has his X-Men lists on paper.
Oh, geez, yeah. And the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast is Doctor Who podcast. So go check those guys out. We're all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins, Ryan. Brock Sager. Comics into Kind, that's Omar. Larson Bryce, that's Bryce Larson. Toby is Toby XI. And Charlie is Insanity in Chaos. So go follow us there. Why are you asking me to save file? I didn't change anything. So there we go.
We're not done yet.
We are done?
No, we're not.
We're not?
Nope.
Okay.
Because next week you have to have Hellblazer Volume 1.
Yes.
Original Sin read.
That is our Comic Conspiracy Book Club pick of the month. My pick, Original Sin, Hellblazer, Volume 1, first trade, Jamie Delano, and I think he's the only one that read all those. Well, Alan Moore, of course, wrote the first 2 issues of Swamp Thing that's in it. So go read that book, because we'll have a nice long discussion about that next week.
That's a big book to read.
Yeah, if you don't finish it, I won't be. At least read those first 2. At least read the 2 Alan Moore issues.
Read the Alan Moore issues and try and get into the first part.
You want to read it all anyway someday, but at least read those Alan Moore issues. It's great stuff.
They're good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. All right, we'll catch everyone next week, and thanks for listening.